It caved in First Avenue, Banana Island in Ikoyi, Lagos. Some construction workers have been rescued, about 7 of them, while we're waiting to get more information. There's information from the papers this morning was that only 1 person is still trapped there, and we'll be getting our correspondents, as TVC News correspondent Theophilus Elama. He's been following up on the story since yesterday, and he'll be joining us. But before we take his call, let's take the clip of how the building went down.
Jesus! Yeah! Oh my God. Oh my God. Jesus. Man.
Wow. So, to join the conversation, you can call us on 081-270-53687, or you can call us on 091-3907-6948, or tweet to us at TVC Connect, hashtag your view on TVC, so we can take your tweets. Right now, we're trying to, do we have Theophilus with us? Theophilus is our TVC correspondent. He hasn't joined us yet, so we're going to first have a conversation to discuss what our opinion is concerning this. This is in Banana Island, you know, like if it happened, it's very, like we should expect that before construction will go on in such a place, they would know when you're spending billions in buying a property, you wouldn't mind money to build the property. How are we at this?
My own question first is, the guy that was filming, did he know the building was going to collapse?
I think it was just chance.
It was just chance, so he just took his camera and was filming.
Caught it just before it happened.
It happens, and that's why we're
time
able
and chance,
to...
yeah. Time and chance.
Or something had happened. He had heard a loud bang in the area.
It's probably as well.
Because
I heard one story on when I was listening to the video this morning that said a concrete mixer hit the building.
Okay.
That's what I heard, though. I don't know.
Wait for
the videos I saw did not show me any concrete mixer, but that's what I heard on the radio this morning. A concrete mixer had hit the building, and that's why it collapsed. I don't know.
So there are many angles to the story. There's a perspective of the fact that correspondents and other media practitioners have not been allowed access to the site. They are not allowed to enter into the estate itself. That's Banana Island. They are outside. And also the fact that we've had this over and over again around Ikoyi. Was it just last year that a building collapsed? And we shouldn't be having this happen again. BC, what's your opinion when you first saw this video?
I'm like... Banana Island, all of us want to go to. If a whole Banana Island is not safe, if this sort of thing can happen there, then I think that Alagbado is the safest place for me. So far, so good for...
There's never been a building collapse.
There's never been a building collapse in a place like Alagbado. You know, but aside from, you know, just making light of it, I think that the government officials who are in charge of approving these buildings must be brought to book.
Yes.
And I use the word must. I'm choosing my words carefully this morning. Must be brought to book. This is not the time to begin to play with people's lives. I don't know if there's any, if we have any casualties. Yes. And I hope that we do not. But this is a way of playing with people's lives. You have a job to sign off on something that has met all the requirements and all the standards. And you don't do that for whatever reason. Either you go there, you take a bribe, you look the other way, and then it results into this. So the people who have put money in there, I don't know how, if it's an estate that's in charge or involved in this, they're going to be losing money. The owner of the building will lose money. Some people will likely lose lives. Thank God for now we don't have that. So far we don't have that. But we must begin to do our jobs the best way we can, or don't do it at all.
Okay, we have a call. Is Mike still there? Do we have Mike on the phone? Welcome, good morning. I'm not sure we can hear Mike right now. All right, Mariam. So, Banana Island already is used. We're used to having many high-rise in that area. And this is just 7 floors. They are higher than this already in that place. So, the fact that the building would cave in, even if what YK said she heard in the papers was true,
That's
that
the
something
advice.
hit it. It shouldn't bring that
I mean,
entire
Yeah,
building
that's it.
down, like that. You know.
At least it will first stagger.
Exactly.
YK is staggering.
And it just, you know what? Recently, I've been doing some work in my house, and I just noticed that every new wall is not as, it's just not the same as the old walls. It's either it's not straight or it's easy to puncture through. Many of the workers do not like working on my house because they say this your wall is like iron. Do you understand? That's how they used to build them, with integrity. And we don't have that anymore. People are spending a lot of money and they are getting less than what they are spending money on. And then okay.
Let me
you want
just
to
interrupt
stop?
you a bit.
Okay.
Michael I think is still on the line. We just couldn't hear him then. Michael, can we hear you now? Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hola. I really appreciate what you ladies are doing over there concerning this program. It's still one of the best programs in Nigeria.
Thank you.
Concerning the building that collapsed yesterday, we cannot continue like this. And I believe the Lagos State Ministry of Works and Physical Planning and Housing, they are there to regulate, to monitor, and to supervise. They should wake up to their responsibility. They should do their job. It should be needful. Somebody somewhere should be held responsible. The other time, the 21-story building collapsed. It's attack today. We couldn't hear anything about it. So people should go to jail. If it's possible, whoever is in outside, they will lose their job. They should lose their job. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you, Michael, so much.
Yes, so I was just saying that
the quality of buildings
has just dropped badly. And I don't know if it's just supposed to be a new style that, you know, that we have out there, or that Nigerians are just used, we've just gotten used to cutting corners. So it's either those who are building, especially those who are building for commercial purposes, you're putting up a building, you yourself, you're not going to live there, you want other people to come and live there. So you do not really care about the safety of human lives. You just want to make a profit. Let's put money together, let's put up these buildings as fast as we can, as cheap as we can, without paying attention to human lives. Now, we know human beings can be greedy, but we have enforcement agencies. We have agencies that are supposed to regulate and monitor these buildings and test for their integrity. And those ones too are not doing their jobs. And we are forced to believe that they may be in collaboration with these unscrupulous business people. So are they bribing you, and then you're turning your faces away? How do you sleep? How do you sleep at night? This has happened so many times in such a short time that you would expect that everybody will be on their toes and really afraid that something like this will happen. And that's why people are asking that there has to be consequences for this. If you're a civil servant, if you are in the department that is meant to make sure that buildings that are erected, based on the standard, the right standard, then you will be careful to make sure that you do your job properly. And then if there's a building, maybe they have some sort of association or influence that you think that is way above you, you can write down a report and absolve yourself before anything happens. But we just find someone sending us a letter and saying, oh, this building that has come up 7 stories already did not even get any approval. So how did it even get to that place? And then we know that Banana Island is not some backwater neighborhood. It's a place
not one street in Lagos.
Good. We know that government's eye is on that area. You would know that a new building is coming up. You would see something. You hear something.
Why they didn't do it? Because the government, because the area has such tight security. Could it be that they are not allowing?
How about the other people?
People to have access. When I mean by people, I mean allowing workers of the Lagos State Building Regulation have access.
So you mean
maybe they are not. Maybe they are not allowing, because you don't get into.
Come down.
For you to get to Banana Island, you must have a.
They cannot not allowing to government.
They did not allow press to enter.
Cannot be bigger than the government of
exactly.
the
Okay, so that's a question we need to answer officially.
Okay, I have a
We
call.
need to have that
I wanted to
officially.
mention.
No,
the agencies involved so that
Yes,
we know the
so
people who are calling out this
calling
morning?
out specifically. Let's
The
take a
Lagos
break. When we come
building.
back, we'll start calling them out one by one. And we'll try and get one of them to get in touch with us and let us know whether they've gotten to that place or they are also not allowed to get into the place.
So at this point, you can see behind me, we're at the entrance of Banana Island, and of course, journalists and construction workers are not allowed in. Even if you have, normally at these kinds of estates, you have a code that expires every hour. You get a new code to just gain entrance. But even with the code, journalists are not allowed into this place because we hear that some investigative works are going on. We've been here since morning, and standing here so far, we have seen men of COREN, that's Council for the Regulation of Engineers in Lagos, in Nigeria. We have seen lasema team come in and out of that place. We have seen other emergency responders go in and out of Banana Island. So far, no one has given us an update except that no, we hear that the government is still insisting that no life was lost here. But of course, we've had some people from the Banana Island Association come to us and say they will give us an update in due course. They had said that there will be a press conference pretty soon, which we're expecting, so we can get some more updates from them. But as it is right now, if you're not a resident of Banana Island, you are not allowed in. Journalists are not allowed in here. Construction workers are not allowed in. We're even told that construction work inside the estate has been halted for now, pending further information from them.
Okay, Theophilus, I'd just like to, could you clarify for us, this stopping journalists, is it because of this situation or is this an ongoing, you know,
Is it a normal thing?
Yes, is it a normal thing for journalists not to be allowed into Banana Estate, or just because of this collapse?
Well, we're meant to believe that it's just because of this. That we think that they're trying to manage the information, because normally if you're coming into Banana Island, many of us have visited here for several times, you must get a code. And once you approach the gates, you tell them the code and they allow you in. If you don't know where you're going to in there, you have an inkling of where you're heading to inside Banana Island. They can direct you as far as you have the code. And we know that the code expires every hour and you get a new code. So it means that if you're in Banana Island with an old code, you cannot get in with the same code. If you have an old code 3 hours ago, you cannot get in. So from this situation, journalists are not allowed because probably they're trying to maybe manage the information that we get, or from what we have also been told, try to manage the activities of hoodlums and all of that. That's why one of the measures that have been taken, has been put in place, is to ensure that construction work inside the estate is halted for now. And so, as journalists are all here, we're just standing, like I can move down the road and you see a lot of us are just waiting at this side, trying to get some more information. Many of us have been here since the early hours of this morning, trying to get an information on the situation there. And so far, the information that has been coming has been quite minimal.
So in this case, I'm concerned because I've never heard where something like this happens and journalists who are supposed to give the news are not allowed in. What then is expected of you? Is there anything in the code that tells you what next to do? Or are you just going to hang there with other journalists waiting till they decide to let you in?
Can I just add this to her question? And is there any person like a middleman or mediator that has access to the collapse and is giving you information?
Well, there's no middleman, first of all. No one is giving us information as we need them. It's not like going to the collapse site itself to get your own information. We're just getting information in piecemeal, so we just need to get in there. As for the first question, as journalists, we are trained to fish out news from anywhere. We're standing here, not allowed in, is news. Anything can be turned to news. So we are all working with the information we have to create the news that we can give out. We've been here since morning, and so this has been the situation so far. No journalist has been allowed in. Construction workers are not allowed in. In fact, when you saw journalists earlier, someone from the association had to come to provide that form of shelter to us so that we can actually sit down there and get some information and do our jobs as well. But the thing is, no one is stopping us from doing our jobs. Actually, I must say that. No one is stopping us from doing our jobs. We're here trying to get the information that is needed, and of course, get an update on the situation at Banana Island.
Okay, Theophilus.
I wanted to ask, you know, when you watch these American films, you know how journalists will do that espionage and sneak in, maybe hide under the boots, inside the boot, or, you know, just find a way. Can't you do that? Just find one system to just sneak in.
But then you will need a code to get in. We can put some stunts, yes, but then you will need a code to get in. So the code changes every hour, of course. If we can't pull that stunt, yeah, I can stay inside the boot of the car and get in. No problem. As far as we get the story.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit worried, Theophilus, because we haven't gotten... usually we would have heard something from lasema. It would usually come to the show like a few seconds after buildings collapsed. Is it because this building collapsed in Banana Island that there's so much information management? You've obviously had to report some other building collapse. What's the difference between those and, especially from the government's response side, between those building collapse and this one, and how do you think this could have been done better? At least people are curious about what's happening there.
Well, the Lagos State, the ministry in charge of physical planning have reacted yesterday. There was a press statement that says that the building in question had no permit to build. The operators had no permit to erect such kinds of building. But so far, the government has said investigation is ongoing to ascertain the cause of that collapse. Of course, we expect that we get some form of information. Like I said earlier, we have seen government agencies, lasema, we have seen CORED, we have seen different government agencies responsible for physical planning and urban development go in and come out. And of course, you know, as it is in civil service, not everyone cannot speak on the development. Yeah. We have to get some form of information from the person in charge to give us an update on their findings so far. And of course, we will definitely get those findings. We're keeping tabs with these agencies to ensure we get the result of their findings and, of course, report that back.
All right. Thank you so much, Theophilus. I know that you're still going to be on ground, and maybe in the course of the program, if more information comes out, we'll be getting that update from you. Thank you. All right. So personally, this sort of like is my industry. I'm into real estate, but I haven't done construction, and I've been very careful. Since last year, I've been doing internship in a construction company because I really need to understand and study before going into it. What we see in most cases, I could decide that, okay, I'll just develop, buy the land and pay an engineer to build. But I am learning now that if I don't know what to look out for, I can be deceived into having good intentions, spending the money, and the people that are meant to deliver now cut corners, and I'm unaware because I'm not a professional. So it's the knowledge gap and the fact that we have sort of become a set of people that are trying to cut corners to make more money. We're seeing the effects in the fact that we're having more building collapse. So I had a conversation with the bid and estimates person I was shadowing yesterday, and he said that there are things they do in construction now. When you do the rafts, you're supposed to fill the inside with concrete. Some people now line the inside with the sack, cement sacks, so that the hollow is still hollow. And so you just cast the outside. So when you look at it, you are seeing that they've done a cast on a pillar, but the inside of the pillar is empty. They put the sack for the cement around the inside, and that is a way of reducing costs. Now, I don't know. I would go in there. I'll feel like, okay, we did the same dimension as casted, but we did not know that they did not cast appropriately. So there are many people cutting corners, and it is the inefficiency of many trying to be greedy that is leading to us having more cases of...
So what does that say? That maybe those who should be involved in construction should be accredited?
So they have They must be current certified.
And okay, current certified. So do you have to have gone to school for this? Are you an architect? Are you, a builder? To just have an interest or to have money isn't enough. And then if you're the person that's bringing the money, how are you working with those who are accredited, who are licensed? And then what would your risk be?
Yeah.
I know that I'm not the brains here. I know that I'm not the technical person here, but I have the money, I have this, I have the land.
So I get the best.
Yes, and I want the best. And then I get you, who is licensed and certified, and then you give me something. Who ends up paying the price for
Most
that?
certified people will not do that. It's our cutting corners. Let me take this phone call from Magdalene, and I'll come to you, YK. Good morning, Magdalene. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, ladies of your view. This is Magdalene from Jos.
Good morning.
Morning, Magdalene. Every time you say back, just
We just look to you.
Yes. About this building collapse, I just want Nigerians to take it that we Nigerians are too smart. There is no building collapse there. If you look at the way the building came down, it just fell on the ground. A 7-story building did not fall on any other building. This is a chemical collapse. It's an intentional one. Thank God no life was lost. How come even the person that videoed started the video when the building started collapsing? They just want the building down. There was no building collapse. We are too smart.
Magdalene, please, are you speaking as just an observer? Do you have some academic qualification for this?
Just an observer.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Magdalene, for that opinion. We're worried that without having proper information, people would come up with all sorts of extrapolate their own summation. And so we'll be waiting to get more information. We're still discussing the sad story about the 7-story building that collapsed in Banana Island. And YK was going to say something.
Yes, I was going to talk about the systemic problem in Nigeria. Reason, because I was listening to everybody talking during the break, and Obiajulu talked about how buildings of 30, 50, 100 years ago are still standing because they used good material. It is because, so what I'm thinking, and then you spoke about building a hollow thing. I can give you the job, and I have the certificate, but I've left you. I'm not going to stay there with you 24 hours because you know the right thing to do. And I go away. You will now cut corners.
And then?
And I will now take the fall. So what our problem is in Nigeria is we are lacking integrity, personal integrity.
Yes,
Now, everyone will say, it's with the people. I agree that it's with the people. But what I'm saying is it is by example. It is because we have been trained and we have now realized that if you don't have integrity, it's nothing.
There's no consequence. There's no consequence.
Conditioned. There's no consequence, and we have been conditioned not to have integrity.
Yes.
There's no consequence.
And so I can give you the job thinking or saying, yes, Doctor has a Cohen certificate or whatever certificate. Look,
She can handle it. But she wants to make more than she's collecting.
my partner is an architect, and he builds, and he has studied this thing. And I've seen the kind of stress, he goes through. Because the workers, everybody is
trying
to cheat everybody.
Exactly.
Yes.
Let's take a call from Yakub. Welcome to the show. Good morning, Yakub.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
And good morning to everyone.
Morning.
Sister Annie, good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
Doctor, imagine the last caller. Imagine what the lady said, that there's no any building collapse because he said that not because the journalists that are supposed to give us the valid information was prevented to get to the site. So the question we need to ask ourselves is this. In the Banana Highland, are they trying to offer? That's one. Number two, the person that did that short video, does it mean the person knew that the building is going to collapse before he took that? Number three, if they present the journalist to ask that place, one thing will happen. Everybody will be saying strange things that is not true. And then you cannot also rule out corruption here. What am I saying that? We are told now that the building is also stop not to continue. Who gives the order? Look at that building. Look at the way the building is coming down. As if it is a piece of paper. So imagine. See, in our outside here, there are some people that are supposed to allow this thing to stop. and everybody in that video. Give me one person that will go punished today and then make it public to know to Lagos citizens that, come on, if you do total collapse, this is the person court responsible and as the sentence to their own life in prison or whatever. No. So I can say this thing will continue if there's nobody that's culpable and punished for this thing, all this cannot be. And then I can say they should not tell us that nobody is died there. Look at the way the thing is just scattered like a piece of paper.
But if they say nobody died, maybe nobody died.
Yes, so,
we don't even believe again. We don't believe government. Sorry, Obiajulu. So what I'm saying is, what we should be discussing is how we are going to change the narrative. How is Nigeria going to change? How are we going to? How is our value system going to improve? Why will the downfall leave his lane and go to another lane and still enter in front of me?
I don't understand, though.
So the thing is, we have agencies that are supposed to help ensure that the system works, because human beings, the way they are wired, especially if you come from this sort of environment where we are mostly deprived, is to try to cut corners, to try to live above, you know, just to try to, and this is not making any excuses for people who decide to cheat and cut corners, but we would have majority of the people who feel disenfranchised already by the system of government. And so the agencies there, they spend so much money instituting these agencies. They spend so much money paying recurrent salaries. We have the Lagos Building Control Agency. We have the Lagos Ministry of Physical Planning. We have Lagos State Materials Testing Laboratory. We have Lagos State Building Control Agency. I just mentioned 4 now that are supposed to curtail the loopholes that human beings with their nature of trying to survive above themselves will bring up. So if you have people who are cheating, whether they are qualified or not, a cheat is a cheat. Because you can know the right things to do and decide not to do it because you want to make more money. The agencies that are testing will test the material from the beginning and say, this is substandard, you have to take it down. We are not going to give you approval for this. That is why they are there. Now the agency
was not even approved.
Okay, a building was not approved in such an area. Nobody saw it. Nobody questioned it. Nobody made noise about it. So even if you say they don't let us in, they don't allow us access, you couldn't write a letter, you couldn't get the police involved, you couldn't go on to the media to say we have earmarked some houses that they are not letting us into Banana Island to handle, but this is it here, and the people of Nigeria will see that we are doing what needs to be done. So everybody kept quiet.
But we need to. So for now, we don't have enough information to be sure whether they were allowed in. But because if what is going on in Banana Island now is what usually happens, which means you cannot have access to it, it means that the Lagos Building Control Agency probably did not even have access to the
I disagree.
estate itself.
I disagree with that.
But let me take this call from Tunde.
Exactly.
Today from Magodo.
You could have...
Who will stand it?
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, please, I appreciate your topic about the collapsed building. There's corruption that's going on in Nigeria. But there are 2 tragedies that happened yesterday. There was an accident along Lagos-Ibadan Express Road. About 13 people lost their lives. Wow. According to the news I had, nobody died. But about 13 people, maybe they are traveling out of Lagos, their parents, their family doesn't know what happened to them. Yesterday evening around 7 p.m. Along Lagos Expressway, they faced one way. They had an accident with
the one way.
One way.
Yes. At 13 people, about all these Oma, what do they call it? They saved the trailer, about 13 people. I think the passengers about 14 that was normally conveyed. About only 3 survivors in that bus. Thank you very much.
Thank you today. So the conversation is...
I'm happy he took us there. You see, this corruption, how are we going to change the mindset of Nigerians? I was on the road the other day. A police car was facing us on the express, where all cars are going this way. You felt you were powerful enough to be coming this way.
That's a police car. Even private cars, because they carry police officer, they would just go on one way because they are carrying a police officer.
And full speed, I'm making one. Where are you going? That is so important. That is more important than where everybody else is going. Is it a matter of life and death? Because I have seen people in the Western world. I don't hate to bring up because this is not the Western world, but I've seen ambulances. I've never seen, and they are going fast. I've never seen them going in the opposite direction. So how are we going to? I just looked at my pictures now. I was looking at my pictures. My grandmother's house. My grandmother's house. I'm sure is about 100 years old. It's still standing, kakaraka, and that is that it has even sunk because of the river that they stopped from. Blocking the river, the flooding the house, so one floor has gone.
Yes.
Don't
say your grandmother. When you call your grandmother is an icon. So you need to mention the name. You say, my grandmother, Mrs. Thank you.
Who happens to be my grandmother? Her house is still standing. Now, I'm telling you that people that built houses in those days, their houses are standing. Why? Because people had integrity.
Yes, simple.
Why have we lost that integrity? How can we get it back?
It's not completely lost, but it's just majority. Let's take this call
from
Daniel.
When I say from government, if government don't have integrity, nobody's going to have integrity.
I agree with you, my sister.
Daniel, welcome to the show. Good morning. I'm not going to argue Murayo argument with you, but I'll just tell you who the people are also involved. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Who the people are government?
So that's why we have government to make sure.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
We the people.
Hello.
You are live. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The issue of this thing keep on happening, and nobody is doing anything about that. For someone I've just spoken a few minutes ago, it's the corruption we are talking about.
Yeah.
It's the corruption that if you take the perspective of the staff, they are going to the during the question, you find out that all of them, they are public officials, and the moment they get what they want, they forget whatever is going on. They are not interested. They are initial interest with the price they have collected. And that is why the government of Israel, especially the movement today, the property they are owning, I'm telling you nothing but the bitter. The property the government workers are owning in New State. If they take statistics, close to 1,000 years, they are the ones that are buying for this time, for their family. So until this thing is happening, we continue having the same government. And we just say that God will take control. And that is my opinion this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Something tangible is done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Mariam was going to...
Prayers that God will do it.
God will take control.
I just think that today I just hope that today we would hear names of government officials who are meant to be in charge of, making sure that buildings are set up right, they get approvals and things like that. I hope we would hear from them. And I hope that it means that many people are scared because they failed to do their jobs. And if we do not see consequences for actions like this, it would not get better. We'll still have buildings collapsing. We will be reporting even more. I hope also that the stories we're getting, because we haven't gotten any confirmation from journalists on ground, but we hope that there were no fatalities, because these were people who were doing their jobs. Sometimes you're called on site for a lot of these jobs that they do, the very menial jobs. You're just called on site, you're paid by the day, and then this happens. I just hope that really that there are no fatalities, and the victim that they say was under the rubble, hope we'll hear from lasema and hear if that person was rescued. But really, there has to be some form of consequence for what has happened today.
We keep saying it. Look, I remember TB Joshua's building that collapsed. They were bringing story that it was a plane that came and threw bomb. Just all kinds of. Till today, I have not heard
anybody prosecuted
was prosecuted.
There were prosecutions, but I don't think that it's like this case of
anybody was convicted.
Convicted, yes. It might take a while, but I want to believe that because they actually took that case to court. They took it to court. I know. For the one that happened in Ikoyi, we also got the report that it was the materials that they used in constructing that was substandard. So and they have to first get that report before they will now say they are prosecuting. In that case, I don't even know who they are going to hold accountable, because the person that, the owner of the company also died in that incident as well. You know, but I know we have...
I think government officials' job was on the line.
They are government officials. I think the person he was sacked immediately.
Yes.
But we were sacking at the top. Yes, it might help to have supervision. Yes. You sack at the top and you also sack within, because there are everybody whose job, there's somebody who's carrying the file, who's meant to minute on that file, and the file did not get to the right table. At whose table did the file stop? Who was meant to have raised the issue that this building has gotten to that floor, and the person did not do anything? Of course, when you sack at the top, the person would put everybody on their toes to ensure it is done, but it must happen within the ministries. That was a political appointment. I'm saying directors in the ministry, they are the ones there back to back. They've been there for years. They grew through the ranks. They know where where the loopholes are. Because you bring in a commissioner, the commissioner is oversight. The directors are inside. They are monitoring. They see everything. When we go to ministries and departments, you know, I always feel that appointments will come and appointments will go. But when we strengthen our institution, we can overcome. If we remember what happened in the US, where under the presidency of Donald Trump, he wanted to do a lot of things, but the system was stronger than a person. So the system protected itself against an individual who had his own personal agenda. So if we can strengthen our systems, our ministry, everybody knows commissioner can come and commissioner can go, but this ministry, we are going to remain strong and protecting. And then there are several agencies that should be able to prevent these kind of things from happening.
That's what I'm talking about, the systemic failure. You see, when Muritala came into power, he sacked all the heads of the ministries, all the PAMSECs, everybody, correct people who knew their jobs, who were doing. So what happened was that civil servants now started saying, so they can come and sack me at any time. Let me start protecting myself.
Let me start chopping now.
Let me start chopping my own, because you will sack me, nothing will happen.
Yeah.
That was on our military. Let me take this call from Dosumu. Dosumu calling us from Ikeja.
What are you saying?
If a government sacks you,
about systemic failure,
this
is it.
It's the foundation. It's part of
if
the foundation.
If the foundation is not good, we are not going to go anywhere. We'll just be here every day ranting.
I want to take Dosumu's call from Ikeja, but I must say that we have cases now where if you are sacked illegally, you can go to court and you get compensated. So we must start telling those stories so that people that they heard this one, they will start hearing the one that if they fire you, the government will pay you. This is the system now is working, at least in the judiciary.
How many people do you know that they are
at
fired?
Least they repaid. They paid some. No, but they paid. They've already. So that people the one in Oyo. Yeah, Dosumu is waiting. Or your states, they've told them to pay.
Who was the
they fired the local
government
chairman. But Dosumu is waiting for us. Dosumu from Ikeja, welcome to the show. YK.
Sorry,
sir. He's YK.
So my contribution is that this thing should not stop from somebody being sacked. It should go further at the prosecution. The former commissioner for physical planning, Mr. Dolako, he was the one that was responsible for when Laka locked the Ikoyi building that collapsed. He went there personally to open it 3 times. The GM Labka continued to say that this building is not safe. It has to stop. The construction has to stop. Arrested the owner of the building. The commissioner went there and reopened that place.
Thank you.
He was asked to resign. He was not even that. He was asked to resign. He's in his house. Probably should be prosecuted. The person who is in charge of supervising the area of Banana Island should be in detention now.
Exactly.
Let this be part of the law. Any government official who is in charge of any place where there is a collapse should be detained immediately a building collapses. And it should be prosecuted. There is law for the prosecution of these people. We should not just continue to pay lip service. Let government do its work. The complete investigation of the Ikoyi building, the people that are involved, if you hear, you will run. So there will never be a complete investigation because all the convention of our laws, of our rules continue to happen without consequence. We, the citizens, should also rise up.
Yeah.
This should not continue.
Well done.
So Dosumi was saying what I was trying to say, which is when you were trying to explain that the commissioner or whoever, political appointments, that is not where the repercussions or the consequences should start or end. And I disagree with you because when you say these are just political appointments, that also brings us to the conversation of the sort of people we put in places. We don't put people based on nepotism. People who are not meant to be there, that have no understanding. If you are coming to supervise, how do you supervise? If you're coming to play a supervisory role, how would you play a supervisory role when you have no idea? And, you know, he made a very valid point about political appointment, political influence, where those people on ground understand the technicalities of a particular job, but you have no idea, but you have political power, political influence to, you know, derail jobs. So that is why, you know, prosecution or calling out these people must start at the top. Then they will be more careful, you know, the sort of things that they do or the sort of things that they carry out and how they turn their eyes away for political reason above, you know, integrity or above the job or above human lives. We need to be able to call, see, Nigerians, we need to be able to call out a lie. We need to be able to call out a crime without playing favorites. Oh, today is not really the commissioners, it's the person directly under the commissioner. No, it's not the person directly under the commissioners, it's the junior staff that run around. No, there's one person at the top and that person has to be able to answer because you were put there to make sure that everyone else beneath you does the job right. And if it falls, there's just one person that should take the blame. And if it works, there's only one person that we see on the covers of the papers. We don't see them with all the other workers taking credit.
Yeah. So I agree with you and I agree with her. I think, yes, we must work together because it's the whole set. Because I know that we've heard stories of, you know, people who are working under trying to sabotage the person on top. You know, when you come in and go out, there's already a system of people who have been grounded there that you have to appease. Yes, you have to appease them to even get your things done. Whether you are the boss or not, they are the ones that know the field. They are the ones that move the system. They have been grounded. So if, for instance, this particular industry, something keeps happening like this, there's this building collapse happening, we start from the head, we trace it to the person who signed the last form, the other person takes over, everybody must answer to this particular thing. That way, whether you are coming after 4 years or after 8 years, you know you are responsible. You must ensure whether you are seated there on the seat or not, you must be accountable.
I'm happy you also brought that up because that's what you call an investigation. Yeah. But what we always say is in the beginning, we say step aside. Then you can make your case during the investigation. Why did you set up all these panels if you think you were sabotaged? But at the beginning of it is that you step aside because before that sabotage happened, we're hoping that you were, you know, that you reported it, that you may have made a report about it, that you're noticing something. But if you're somebody that you're not even in that place, you travel abroad, you come back when you want, you come and commission projects and you go, how would you know? So that investigation would now go on and then you would be, you know, you'll be found not to be guilty. A case of sabotage will be, you know, will be revealed. But we have to be able to hold someone. And if people understand what their responsibility is and what the weight of that responsibility is, they'll be more careful to even take the jobs in the first place. Is this the risk of me taking this job? Is this what I may go through if it doesn't work out right? And then maybe we'll have less people clamoring for jobs, do or die, making a do or die affair. So what you're also saying is that we should increase the penalties. So what's the gravity of the consequence?
Can I ask you a question? Let me direct it to Mary. Do you think that one building collapses today and they are all prosecuted and maybe even jailed, hopefully, do you think the system, Nigerian, do you think that is enough to change this bad system that we have in Nigeria?
So we've been discussing the building collapse that happened in Banana Island. We've been talking about the fact that there must be stronger consequences. And if there are no strong enough consequences, people will believe that they will get away with impunity. And over the course of the show, from callers, from Mariam, from BC, we realized that we will start from the top, but the punitive measure must cascade down. So everybody that is in that line of the building collapse, if there is that strong
determination.
yes, that all of them pay dearly, like 2 years in prison in a short time, in a public way, we might be able to get good change across. But YK threw that question, and I sort of answered the question. But actually, I think it can lead to change. One scapegoat can cause a major change.
A scapegoat.
What
We
I'm
need
saying
a system of justice.
if the system, and the system has to start from the top. And when I say the top, I don't mean the commissioner or the minister. From president to vice president to
or even governor. At least within the state is governor.
Because every time I say government, everyone says we the people. And I keep on saying that we the people are a product by the government.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
So until we check, look, I'm not a fan, I keep on saying it. Buhari, when he came in 84, he jailed my father. I'm not his fan. But he had something, war against indiscipline. And you must kill. Come and see Nigerians.
So leadership can bring about change. So in conclusion, because there's another topic I want us to move on to, we know that this is the building collapse that happened in Banana Island is a byproduct of a systemic problem, where buildings can get built to this level without approval, where some people feel above the law and they will use substandard building and there's no check on them. And we'll be hoping to hear from the ministry, Lagos State Ministry of Fiscal Planning, Lagos Building Control Agency, as well as Lagos Material Testing Laboratory, because I've attended events by the Lagos State Material Testing Laboratory, and they had so many good plans. We're hoping that if all these ministries are doing they're on their games, we would have less building collapse. But what many people want to hear is how many years in prison whoever is found guilty will be spending. And if we see that, we might be able to cause proper change in the system. Okay,